Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Our story of One Piece has started its final saga, where we're going to see several important events starting to come together as we approach the end of our story. Now, many of these events are going to reveal to us mysteries that we've wondered about for a long time, and these mysteries have remained hidden because of the amount of impact they're going to have on the world when they're answered. Currently, we are finally getting to meet the great scientist Vegapunk, and we're learning the reasons why he's considered the greatest scientist in the world. In addition to knowing and learning a little bit more about his past, his connection with Dragon, and even the reasons that led him to modify Kuma's body. So in today's video, we're going to talk about our expectations for the next chapter of One Piece, which is going to be chapter 1068. We're going to talk about the events that could happen based on the previous chapter, and a big secret that Vegapunk could be revealing to us. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, and even subscribe, and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought about the video. It really helps us out, especially with that YouTube algorithm, and it motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into these expectations of chapter 1068. So my friends, in our previous chapter of 1067, we had some incredible revelations. How Vegapunk had managed to acquire a huge old robot without the world government being able to find out, as well as many little tidbits that are going to lead us to a greater revelation about where Vegapunk fits into the whole story of One Piece. We also learned how the various punks work and even where Vegapunk's huge brain is. And now that some things have been explained, we're going to begin to see a conflict start in Egghead, because as we saw, CP0 has finally made landfall on the island of Vegapunk. One thing we learned is that though all the punks share knowledge from Vegapunk's brain, it seems to be Punk 01 or Shaka that proves to be the smartest among them, demonstrating to have a great knowledge and know-how to analyze the situation in a very logical way. Even before CP0 arrived on the island, Shaka already warned Dragon that it was possible that Vegapunk could be losing his life. Now, we don't know exactly if Shaka was talking about themselves or Vegapunk or the whole island. And this is because all of the various iterations of the punks consider themselves as Vegapunk. So it's possible that he's talking about all of the punks in general, but since chapter 1067, it's been revealed to us that Vegapunk's brain is the upper part of Egghead Island, and that is where all his knowledge and everything he's learned is. Through an apple-shaped receiver that acts as an antenna on Vegapunk's head, many of which in the community think is a nod to Sir Isaac Newton for having discovered gravity, he can access the knowledge of his big brain, allowing him and all the other punks to get information from the brain for their various parts of research. In addition to having access for the knowledge that's already been obtained by the brain, they're also able to sync their knowledge for everything that each individual punk learned that day, and it goes back directly to the main Vegapunk, making him even smarter and causing his brain to grow even further. This means that Vegapunk's brain, located at the top of Egghead, is the core of all the Vegapunk robots and Vegapunk himself, and if it's destroyed, they could lose their ability to think, or even worse, it could cause all of them to lose their lives because their brain ineffectively has died. It is for this reason that the island is so well protected, both in water and on land, because the purpose of the guards and the robotic creatures on this island aren't necessarily to protect Vegapunk and his punk substituents, but rather protect Vegapunk's brain. A brain that not only potentially contains all of the information about the Void Century, but every bit of information and all the research that he has learned on devil fruits, the lineage factor, or bloodline elements, and even human modification through his work in technology. So there may be a possibility that Shaka was predicting that their brain was going to be destroyed soon. Shaka may also quickly analyze the situation in order to find a better way to deal with the problem that is CP0 and the world government. Remember, it was Shaka that warned Lilith about how dangerous the Straw Hats were, and had warned her never to face them alone, especially indicating that Zoro and Nico Robin were ready to attack should she try anything. And this was something that Lilith couldn't even figure out. But in this last chapter, we saw that Shaka was also able to deduce that CP0 did not go to the island for the purpose that they had said that they were there for. Upon arriving near the island, CP0 had said that they just came with the intention of returning to Seraphim Kuma and also picking up Bonnie, who had been close to the island. But even the rest of the Vegapunks had said that they should deliver the Straw Hats to CP0. This was especially reflective of Lilith, who suggested that they just turn them over. But Shaka said to get ready to start a battle, because he was not going to allow CP0 to enter the island, further demonstrating that Shaka really may be the smartest among them. So it may come down to Shaka, who's going to be coordinating this battle against CP0 in these next few chapters, because now that CP0 is in Egghead. They're going to begin searching for all of Vegapunk's extensions and also looking to take over larger parts of this technology to return to the world government. But one question we have is that although CP0 currently has the Seraphim Kuma, we don't yet know if this Seraphim will faithfully obey CP0's orders after attacking every punk he encounters, or whether they'll even obey Shaka. The reason for this question is that it seems that Shaka possesses the ability to control the Seraphim. After all, they were the one that built them. So we don't know if the world government modified this Seraphim Kuma to not obey Vegapunk, or if Vegapunk really has some other programming in it that'll override anything that the world government tried to install. But if the Seraphim Kuma did follow CP0's orders, it's then likely that Shaka will use the Seraphim Jinbei, which is still being worked on and improved to fight against the Seraphim Kuma. We've also seen that the group of Straw Hats that is with Shaka also is learning about everything that is currently happening. However, the first group, consisting of Luffy, Chopper, Jinbei, and Bonnie, and the original Vegapunk, still may not know about this attack. And not even the third group, consisting of Zoro and Brook that are on the Sunny, know about this attack happening as well. So it's very likely that these two groups that don't know about CP0's arrival will get informed and might be the first to face off against this group, because as we know, especially with Luffy's group, they are at the bottom of the island and therefore closest to where CP0 might land. So while our two groups that are lower on Egghead Island might be able to go and intercept CP0 faster, the third group might be able to stay up on the top of Egghead and just watch and learn about what's going on Egghead's underside. But again, this also might be kind of difficult for Zoro and Brook to reach the bottom, because they are very high up with the Sunny and the Vegaforce 1, and neither of them have the ability to fly, so they may need to depend on the Punk's help to go down and help the first group of Luffy's to face up against CP0. Another factor we have to keep in mind as well is that Caribou is on the same island. Now, we don't know if he managed to get back down or if he's still in the upper part just wandering around looking for a way to get back to the surface. After all, Zoro did ask him to just leave the ship because they'd landed somewhere. And because of the way Caribou parted ways with Zoro, we don't even know if he will even help the Straw Hats to face CP0, because it seems he's really irritated at Zoro's attitude. And it may be that he decides to just stay hidden during the battle, looking for an opportunity to escape the island via some boat, or he might even try and hitch a ride on the Sunny, because he did say he could not stay on a government-controlled island. But getting back to our other expectations, we do expect that CP0 will go after some of Lilith's marine robots that are surrounding the island, and this might allow Caribou an opportunity to sneak out without being intercepted by any of the robots, or even worse, CP0. But even though the Straw Hats might look like they're losing a little bit of support, we also have to remember that at the end of chapter 1067, the real Kuma was shown running in a certain direction, and seemed to fall to the ground because it seemed he was still quite damaged. Many in the community have speculated that Kuma was likely warned by Shaka or some other Vegapunk on the island that Vegapunk could be in danger. So through some emergency system that Vegapunk may implanted in Kuma, or even if Kuma has retained his Devil Fruit ability, this could let him get immediately to Egghead Island. However, it wouldn't be instantaneous, because when Kuma sent all of the Straw Hats flying prior to the time skip, we know it took Luffy 3 days to get to Amazon Lily. We also don't know if the revolutionaries will allow Kuma to leave to go to Egghead, because at the end of the chapter, we saw that Kuma was falling, and that might give the opportunity to the revolutionaries to immobilize him and find a way to help him. But again, if Kuma is really determined to get to Egghead, he'll probably get there, which means that somehow he's going to manage to arrive at some point during the battle to help the Straw Hats face off against CP0. But like I just said, in any which way you look at it, Kuma is still quite far from Vegapunk, so this gives the possibility that even the revolutionaries might follow Kuma to take on CP0 and meet up with their ally Vegapunk. Since Dragon has recently communicated with Vegapunk, although he might be a little confused about Kuma's actions, he might put it together that he's trying to get back to Vegapunk, making it possible for him to appear as well in this fight and save Vegapunk from the world government. This would also give us, the readers, the ability to see the revelation of Dragon's Devil Fruit powers, or if he even seems to have one, because that's been widely speculated in the One Piece community. But either way, it would be a great opportunity for us to see Dragon, and also a potential reunion or meeting between Dragon and Luffy and Vegapunk. Finally, let's talk about why Vegapunk has waited so long for Luffy, because in this last chapter, we saw that he wants to leave the island, and he even asks for Luffy's help so that he can accomplish some kind of goal. Now, this might be due to the fact that Vegapunk can't leave the island because of his large brain, which forms the upper part of Egghead Island. Because if Vegapunk leaves the island without his brain, it might cause him to lose his ability to remember or even reason and think. So for some reason, Luffy might might be the only one that can help Vegapunk get Vegapunk off the island. And it might be because Luffy has some ability, because with his loss of limitations through his unlocking of Gear 5th, he might have some ability to move it, or it might come down to Luffy's Devil Fruit. Or even opens up a bigger possibility that Vegapunk could likely know about Luffy's Devil Fruit. And not the Gomu Gomu no Mi, but the real one, the Nika Nika no Mi model Nika, that he researched during the Lost Century. And he might even know about the existence of the Sun God Nika, telling Luffy a lot more about his potential upgrades and the further Zoan transformations he might have access to. So it may be through Luffy's fruit powers that Vegapunk can get free, because since Luffy no longer has a limit, he may also be able to pass that on to other people, because he is, after all, the one who brings freedom to the people and the people around him. So through this freedom, Luffy might be able to change the composition of Vegapunk's brain. I mean, as we saw during Luffy's fight with Kaido, he was capable of turning solid objects in his environment into rubber. And this might mean that Luffy could be able to turn Vegapunk's brain into something a lot more portable, downsizing it or even just making it easier to move, which would allow Vegapunk to take them anywhere they want without any limitation. And one final possibility is that since Vegapunk knows Luffy wants to become the next king of the pirates, he also knows that he's gonna be going to Laugh Tale, a place that Vegapunk himself may not have ever stepped foot on. And to any researcher, that would be a dream come true. Not only just to have the research that O'Hara had, but to actually investigate the real place in the world that he's read so much about over all these years. And Luffy might be the only one that can access this place and get Vegapunk the research location of his dreams. But with all that said, my friends, we'd love to know what you think about it now. Do you think Vegapunk actually wants to get off the island and that really Luffy is the only person that can help him do so? Next, how do you think a confrontation might go down between the Straw Hats and CP0? Because there's been a lot of different speculation in the community where some people think that although Lucci has raised himself in status and probably advanced since Enies Lobby, there's no way he could be at the level of Luffy. So this might mean that once they see the Straw Hats, this brings in a Buster Call or some other kind of danger from the world government. Might even bring in the possibility of Im-sama's sky weapon that we still don't know much about. Let us know what you think about all this in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, I want to thank all of you so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've hung with us all the way to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in the next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.